Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I am Everardo Resendiz, known here as Coach Ever, and I am a certified executive and business coach with Action Coach in Northwest Louisiana. Today I have Josh Carroll with SnapME Creative. He's a partner and creative director, one of four heads of this company, and he will be my guest for today. Today we're going to be talking about the business, the journey to ownership, to finding their way, best practices, and share picking to what it really is like to own, to build, and to operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe so we can give you notifications when we have new conversations just like this one. And so, Josh, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Will you share with us a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about SnapMe Creative?
My background, I've got a degree in advertising, went over to the Dallas market and needed a little more creative direction. So I got my second degree in graphic design. Worked with several of the ad agencies over there, eventually making my way into a trade show association. Um, I should say a trade show general contractor, working with them and moved back to North Louisiana and didn't see that happening, to be honest. But my partners and I, we started this company up, SnapMe Creative Agency. We are a marketing agency, marketing and advertising agency, an agency of record. So basically, that means we're a one-stop shop, turnkey solution for all of our customers' marketing and advertising needs. Um, we handle branding, websites, digital marketing, traditional marketing, videography, marketing videos, photography, headshots, hero shots for your products, things of that nature. Environmental graphics for trade shows, large format print, small print. And then we do promotional products. Got a little over 1 million products that we have access to customize and personalize it for your entity. And yeah, vehicle
So you
wraps
do
as
it
well. Yeah.
all inclusive when it comes to marketing and advertising.
Yes.
Well, I did mention that you're one of four. Besides you, partners, is there any other outside investing in the company, or is it all you?
It's all us.
And what is your role in the business, Josh?
So, as one of the partners, I am a creative director. We have two other creative directors. My role, as it has continued to evolve, I do a lot of the business development, kind of geared for sales and for creative. So I do both. I oversee our outside sales reps and manage them daily, and then I have my own clients that I oversee their strategies and their creative development. So, yeah.
So as a company with four partners, and all of you having to make decisions together, how do you go about reaching consensus when something comes up?
So, as I've mentioned before, we are a faith-based company. I made sure that when I, tied myself to individuals that I was going to partner with for a business, this industry, it's a very vast industry, and one person can't do it all. So I knew I needed to have some partners to be able to jump in and take care of this. And I just made sure my partners were people that I liked, I trusted. We were of like faith, like-minded beliefs. So when we have any kind of decision, we really, the way that we have, the four of us got together and the way we structured it is each one of us have one vote. And I know that that means, there could be an opportunity where it's 2-2 and you're equally divided, but we've got it to where it is, we all four have to be on the same page before we make any decisions. And there are some where we're like, hey, it's 3-1. I'm not going to die on that hill. I'll concede. Y'all feel differently. I'll go ahead and go forward with what you guys are saying is the best route to go. But then there's other times where, they're giving in, and it goes both ways. It's a two-way street, and it's worked out beautifully.
I like it. I mean, it's not very common to see that. But I thought that was a very interesting way that you guys decided to go about managing your business. So ultimately, it does require everybody to be pulling in the same direction. And so, even if I'm not agreeing, right? Um, I may be against something, right? But if my partners feel very strongly about it, I may go their way.
Yeah.
And instead of being something that becomes a rift, just something that I'm going to support them with. And this the other way applies. So I love it. I think that that's excellent. So
Communication is absolutely key. So we have to communicate where we are, how we feel about things, and the rationale behind that. And so, really, any decision that's going to be made for the business, we really are putting that decision, essentially before a jury. And we're the jury, we're the judge, everything, but we're laying all the cards out on the table and how we feel about it, what we think about it, to be able to come to our decision. So,
excellent, excellent. So let me move on to what makes your business very special, right?
okay.
So who primarily does your business serve? I mean, if I was in the audience, how will I know if I was a good fit for you and your service?
Well, we are B2B. We're not a niche agency where we have specialized ourselves into a specific vertical, a specific industry. Really, as long as you've got a business, we can help market you. We have seen an organic shift towards financial sector and industrial and commercial manufacturing and home services. That's not because we have gone out and intentionally sought those, but that seems to be a large group of businesses that tend to want to come and use our services.
Okay. And so, what makes you unique? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of agencies of record around there.
Yeah. Well, actually, the industry, the way that we have kind of watched it go, and COVID seemed to spur this on much more. But a lot of the agencies are breaking away from the agency of record model, and they're going into just specialized agencies, an SEO agency. We do websites, or we do branding, or we do social media management. And it may be that they do a mix or two or three of those, but you don't really see too many agencies where they're going to take care of everything anymore. Um, we're also seeing, because of just even you're seeing this even in your television services, these customized um, tools, I guess, where you can go in and pick your packages. A lot of the ad agency industry is doing the same thing. We have package A, package B, C, D, etc. And I think that's a huge miss. And so do my partners, because no business, even if you're in the same industry together, this business and this business, they're not the same. They're going to operate differently. They may have different demographics that they're going out for. They may be in different markets, even though they may sell and do the same service or the same product. Um, so each business, much like DNA, has to be treated differently. So our process that makes us unique. We are a Google Premier partner, and we chose that route to align ourselves with that because Google owns 70% of the internet, and 92% of all searches made online are made on a Google platform. So it just goes to stand that if you're wanting more visibility and more awareness for your business online, go with the Goliath in the industry,
Yeah,
comply with
you
their
got to go with
standards.
the experts.
Yes. And so with that, we sit down with every prospect. I understand that it's difficult because time is money, but we do ask for an hour and a half to 2 hour meeting up front. And we sit down and we do a CNA. That's a client needs analysis. And we ask a lot of questions. It's not about SnapMe at this point. It's about that client, that prospect. Who are you? What do you do? What do you sell? Who are your competitors? What are they doing? What is your sustainable and competitive advantage as opposed to theirs? Why do people go to them and not to you? Why should they go to you and not to them? What are your profit centers? Where are you driving your revenue? What are you currently doing and currently not doing in the marketing space? Um, what are your goals? Where were you 2 years ago? Where were you last year? What are your goals for growth this year? What are your goals for growth in 2 years? Um, Target audience. Who are you looking to attract? Do you like that model? If there's anything you change about it, what would that be? We're asking all these questions to take a deep dive into them. Then we roll over into our digital audit. And that's where we run bots out and it scours everything on the internet for that entity. In about a minute, minute and a half, it aggregates all that data into a report, and we can read the report and show that prospect what they're doing well and where there are gaps in their marketing and areas of improvement. And then the last question we'll ask them is, what is your monthly budget that you can invest back into yourself for marketing purposes? And when we get that, we'll break for a week and we come in internally. We look at the CNA, we look at the digital audit, and we look at their monthly budget, and we put together a unique marketing strategy that is, solely for them to hit and accomplish their goals that they've set before us. And 1 week later, we'll pitch that to them, let them see it. If they choose to sign the contract, that's when payment will start happening. Otherwise, it's a no cost, no obligation process up front with that. Um, for the other thing with our prices, if it's inside of that scope of work, there's no hidden fees. What you see in that contract is what you will pay every month, unless there's something that falls outside of the scope of work. If that happens, we quote it upon request. And if you agree, we'll send you a secondary invoice for that alone, and we keep moving with your monthly marketing.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, basically, even though you mentioned the market has gone from a generalist to a very specialist type of um, breakdown, you have chosen to remain open to offer everything because what you're offering is not that it's less specialized, is that it's much more customizable to the needs of the customer. Am I correct?
Correct. We have all of those specialties in house, but this just makes it to where one entity doesn't have to go, like one business doesn't have to go out to numerous entities to get their marketing done. They can do all of it within one wheelhouse.
Well, you did mention all the things that you do, and it seems quite a bit. So, yes, it does sound like a one stop shop.
Yes.
Uh, Sign up for that. And so, what is one thing you wish more people knew about SnapMe Creative?
About SnapMe. Well, we we've done really well in this market. Here recently, we have jumped out into 6 other markets to start bringing that up. Awareness is key. So again, knowing that we're here, knowing what we do, that would be one thing that I would love for everyone to know about. The I guess one thing I would love for everyone else's mindset to change, though, is that, again, and we've talked about this before, advertising is not, advertising and marketing is not an expense, it's an investment. You're putting that money back into your company. So, and I think it's much like the stock market. When the market starts seeing a downward turn, we tend to just naturally want to yank our money back and pull it back in. But every financial advisor will tell you, no, that's actually when you go in and you buy more. It's the same thing in the advertising industry. When the market turns, we look at our marketing budgets and that's an expense. Well, hey, that's something I can save. I'm going to pull that back. But no, actually, if you think about it, everyone else is going to be having that same mindset. If you double down and you go more during those periods of time, you're going to get more exposure, more awareness, and thereby drive more revenue.
Love it. Well, that's, I mean, ultimately, the conversations that we have regularly with most business people have to do with marketing, right? How are they getting their message out there? How are they budgeting and scheduling? What strategies work, right? You're covering all of them with these. Um, for you in going into these new markets, this is a new endeavor for you guys.
Yes.
Um, what do you think are perhaps the best approaches to opening or trailblazing into new markets?
So our business is unique in the sense that we can really do our work from anywhere and we can work for any customer, any client, anywhere. Um, but to actually get into a market, the approach that we're taking is we're hiring or we have hired outside sales reps. We don't have brick and mortars there right now. But when I say that we're getting into new markets, it's with the intent that we will have a brick and mortar. It is with the intent that we are getting these outside sales reps to go in and really start driving more awareness, bringing in more clientele so that we can then make sense of going in and getting a brick and mortar location there and start building more out.
And you did pick out to do six at the same time rather than one or two or 10 for that matter? Why that number? Why six?
Because it was six reps that we found that we felt were good, solid talent that we could bring in. We also didn't know fully the economics of those markets and how they operated. So rather than putting all of our eggs in one basket, we decided to spread them out. And, worst case scenario, a market doesn't flesh out for us where we can actually put a brick and mortar there. We had an outside sales rep going out and bringing in new business. We can still do that remotely. But if a market seems to pick up and take off and we're getting a lot of clientele in that market, well, then that would be the market that we're going to start with building the first brick and mortar there.
There you go. There you go. It's a smart way to go.
Yeah,
And so, how do you track your leads? Do you use a CRM of any sort?
we do. We have sorted. It's an overlay for our email services and makes it very easy so that when our clients are emailing us, when they do, we just tag it to that board and it keeps a track of all the email correspondence that's happened over that specific job under that client's, card there. And we can assign all of the right individuals for the right tasks and keep that moving along. Our project managers really like it.
Love it. Love it. I mean, the selection of a CRM is it's always one of those chores, right? So I always like to hear what people are using and what works for them. Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
it is a CR, it's sorted, SORTD. It is a CRM and a workflow management tool all together.
Like, very good. And so, George, we spent a bunch of time focused on the business and sharing a few of the best practices there. I'd like to take a step back and dive into the journey a little bit more. So, you mentioned you were out of the area. You came specifically to work on these endeavor of yours, right? Um, what was that transition like for you, working for somebody else and then suddenly going on your own?
Um, it was a little scary to be honest. I mean, I've been working for big corporations and big agencies for a while, 15 years. And then really what started it, my wife got an opportunity to work back where I'm from. And I couldn't say no. I don't think that would have been fair to her. So the company granted me remote status and I moved back to North Louisiana. And upon coming back, I started receiving a lot of requests to do this and do that. And it started off just doing some free work here and there on the side, then started charging for it to ward off some of it. And that didn't seem to work. And before I knew it, they were asking for, print collateral and full wraps and, a website. And so I just bit the bullet and I bought all the equipment, started actually being able to give print collateral and started hiring some installers, doing vehicle wraps. Um, and then I met my now partners. They were doing the website side of things, and I was doing more of the print-based side. So we had a conversation, and took us a year to make the decision. We didn't sit on it, lightly. We actually took our time, prayed about it, and really put a lot of thought into it. And we merged the two entities together. We were in the same industry, but not really competing against each other. And so we merged the two entities and we formed SnapME. We came under one roof, got our office, and hired on several more people. And we have been growing increasingly year over year. Um, it's been a phenomenal ride. We're not done. We're still hungry, still going after more business. And seeing how we can expand and go through this together. It's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely you're putting a lot on the line when you get out there and you do that, but it's very rewarding. And on top of that, you're your own boss. You get to set your own schedules. You get to make the decisions. What was the Spider-Man quote?
With great power.
Comes great responsibility. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Let me
so
ask you this, Josh. I mean, I get it, and probably I can relate to the fact that um, at some point I realized I was dedicating a lot of my time, effort, and abilities to improve somebody else's bottom line. And so, having that control, that ability was what drove me into it. It sounds like it was more about the opportunity coming up for you, and then realizing, comparing the two, and saying, okay, well, this one I have
Yeah.
control over. This one, you know,
Yeah. But now where I was managing people before and not really running any risk, I guess. I
right?
mean, yeah, there's some risks, but not that many. Not in comparison to being your own business owner. Now we're responsible over not only our own, outcomes and our own futures, we're responsible over those that we've got entrusted to our care, all the employees that we've hired and we've signed on. And so every decision that we make as a business owner, it's not just for us. It's to maintain um, stability in the business and to maintain those salaries for the people that we brought on and keep their livelihoods going as well.
That is everybody that they have under their care, as
Yeah.
well as your customer and their employees.
Yes.
So it's a lot to put on your shoulders, to be honest. And so as you look at your journey so far, what do you think, or what would you say has been the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you were challenged with and you had to overcome?
Well, we're in a roadblock right now. We haven't overcome it yet. We're still looking for another building. We've outgrown the building here that we have in North Louisiana. So we're kind of fielding that one while also looking at other markets too. Um, I think finding the right talent has been one, and we've overcome that because we've developed a culture here that we really are wanting to maintain. And so when we found the secret sauce for that, that's kind of where we found a lot of freedom there when we're doing the interview process. So we're not necessarily vetting people for their skills now. I mean, that has a lot to do with it. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. But if they don't fit the culture that we have here, then it's not someone we need to entertain. They're not a good fit. They'd be a better fit probably for someone else's culture, but for ours, maintaining and keeping that culture in a healthy status the way it is right now, again, it goes back to being good stewards of those we've already got entrusted to our care. If you bring in one rotten apple or one person that doesn't really fit the culture, it shifts the whole dynamic. And so,
Right.
yeah,
All right. Let me then use these because it's an important point, right? There's people who are watching this interview, okay? And they hear you say culture. And they hear you say you're going to hire people because of their fit, personality, rather than the skill set. They're like, that can never be me. I mean, I need somebody with the skill set, and I may not have the money to pay for that because the people that I really need working there are going to be very expensive, right? What does culture have to do with it? I just need the right people working for me. What will you tell them?
well, you have a mission, a vision, and a set of core values for a reason. And just because they've got the skill sets does not necessarily mean that they share the same core values. And if they don't share the same core values, how are you going to then turn around and present that to your clients and to your prospects and tell them we stand for this when there are people inside your entity that don't? Um, so we make sure that everyone's a good fit for that. And we're looking at those core values as well with those individuals, as well as their skill sets. A lot of the skill sets, as long as they've got the raw talent, you can train a lot of the other things
That's
um,
right.
and
I
bring
agree
them
with you
to the
wholeheartedly.
table. And frankly, that makes a happier employee because now you've invested into them and they see that. And they're there for you long, the turnover's far less. They stay with you.
There's something about enrolling into it, right?
Mhm.
Getting inspired by what these represents. But I get it. This wasn't always the case for you. I mean, over the course of your career in your own business, you may have found yourself in a place where you couldn't find the right people to begin with, and
Yeah.
it wasn't because there weren't good people out there. You weren't looking at them from the cultural perspective.
Correct.
or their fit within the organization. You are looking for the skill set. So it takes a transition. And that's what I'm getting at. At some point, something clicked. Can you recall what it was? Can you think of that example?
Not off the cuff. Let me think. I know we had one that we hired because we had a position that was vacant and we had an influx of work coming in the door and we needed that role to be filled. It wasn't an issue of, could we or when could we? It's got to be filled. And we went at it with that mentality. And the first interviewee that we had come in the door that checked off all the check boxes for skill sets, we hired him and brought him in. And as we kept walking down that road with him, we realized that he did not meet the core values that we had. Um, and innovation was one of them, creativity. And that's huge when you're in the advertising and marketing industry. You got to be able
Right.
to think outside of the box. And it was like pulling teeth. And we started watching the standard of work that we expect when we push it out of the door we started watching it drop. And we're like, that's not good. Ultimately, we ended up having to let the individual go and find another one, but we learned the lesson. And so we started doing the interviews with more personality questions involved, hypotheticals, putting that out just to see how they would respond, what their questions were, how they'd answer, to see if they would fit these core values that we've got. And the most recent hire that we had is, to fill that role has been phenomenal. She's been a great fit.
Great. That's good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
This is the sort of example I want people to realize. It's out there. You have to go through that experience. And some people will not be able to get across that bridge until they do find that obstacle. But we do emulate that which we learn from other people. So I hope that they will take it to heart and use that because it is very key. Now, let me take you a little bit further down the line, right? Where do you see these business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, in the next 3 to 5 years, I definitely want to have at least one more brick and mortar in another market somewhere for sure. That gives us plenty of time to build the awareness, build the brand recognition that we need, start building a client base in one of these markets, and then hopefully, like I said, get that brick and mortar up there as well. Um, we keep setting our goals at the beginning of the year, every for that year, and we set those benchmarks accordingly. And just to make sure that we've got a system here that keeps us on track and keeps us moving. And so far, we have hit every benchmark and, in fact, surpassed the benchmark before that period of time ends. So we're looking really good for this year. It's the same. I'm hoping that this never becomes the norm for me because we have been doing this for the past 3 years and it's always been very gratifying and very fulfilling. But I love the energy that we have and I want us to keep going. So,
That's right. And when you have something good like this, you want to continue pushing forward. So very good, Josh. Excellent. Well, we have talked a little bit about a lot in this conversation, and for those people who are watching, I highly encourage you to save these and come back a few times for an additional watch. There's a lot of great nuggets here. So as we begin to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions, Josh. Quick, top of head answers for each. What is the key to success for you?
being transparent, we don't hold any punches. Communication, that's part of that transparency. Um, in our field, anyways, it's very easy to pull the wool over people's eyes. And we do watch a lot of agencies that do that. And a lot of our customers have been victims of that. And so we don't do that. We don't hold anybody hostage. We don't hold back any punches. We remove the veil. We let them see the internal workings of the company. Um, every every tactic, every marketing strategy that we're employing on behalf of our customers, we put in a Google Tag Manager, a conversion script, and we're putting that in on their site. So we're tracking all of the data. We meet with them monthly to go over every bit of it, let them ask any questions, educate them through the process. Some people fear, educating their clients that they may know more than them or learn how to do it themselves. And
Right.
we just don't have that kind of fear. The marketing realm is gotten so vast that they would quite literally have to hire a full team of people to be able to do what we do, and they'd end up paying a lot more than what they pay us to do it. So we're just very open and transparent, and we communicate everything that we're doing on their behalf. And we have noticed that that has generated quite a lot of customer loyalty, customer appreciation for how we handle our business.
Excellent. Excellent. So, what is one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Um, Take Coach Evers' class. Um, no, in all actuality, it will. Coach will give you a lot of questions to think about and really chew on, a lot of meat there. And maybe there's a lot of oversight, we all have it. We just don't think about certain things. And having that, I would encourage anyone, even if it's not yours, but just a CEO mentoring group, get into it, find a group of other CEOs because they've got um, experiences and knowledge and wisdom that you might not have. And you might have stuff that they don't have. And so it's a collaborative effort there. You get to share your experiences, um, and, you know, grow for the better of everyone, in that group. So,
And truly, every person who participates learns as much as they teach.
yeah.
And probably those things that they talk about the most are the ones that they get to reinforce for themselves and use now that they are talking about it. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's great to have a mastermind of sorts, right? Where you can really be, open about what's going on and get other perspectives on it. Thank you for
It's a
that.
it's a peer structure that you can lean on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And let's make sure we keep it going, okay?
Yep.
All right. What is one book you're reading right now or you have read that you will recommend anybody to pick up?
Well, first and foremost, the Bible. That's the biggest one for me. That's a daily thing for me, and there's so much wisdom there just on and how to deal with people, um, and how to deal with yourself. So that would be my key. Simon Sinek with the "What is your why?" That was a huge one for us. Really trying to nail down why we do what we do, who we're doing it for, what's the intent behind our business. So
Love it. I think those two are great recommendations. So, third question, if there was one area of your business, if you could choose one area that you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would that be?
I'd love to get this market up and running with a new brick and mortar. Um, what could we improve? Let's see. We're in a scale growth, so we are taking these steps and being very intentional with them. So what we've got a very fine-tuned old machine, but um, as we continue to scale, it's finding the right talent. So if I could solve in a very rural market right now where we're at, getting the right talent in tomorrow, that would be huge.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. For those who are listening, there may be somebody out there that can help Josh with this.
Yeah.
And so, before we get into the final question of the day, Josh, how can other people learn more about you and your company? And do you want to give them some sort of um, how will I call it, an incentive for them to come and check you guys out?
Yeah. So snapmecreative.com. So it's like Snapchat, but snapme, M-E, creative.com. And we are running a promotion right now through November 1st of this year. Anyone that gets a website with us, whether it's a one page, five page, or a 10-page website, you will get an entry of one entry, five entries, or 10 entries into our drawing. We will announce that in November. One lucky winner will get $2,500. And The only catch to it is that you have to be a member of your local chamber. Again, we're back to building businesses together. So, yeah,
Yeah. Be part of something, right?
yep, absolutely.
I love it. Very good, Josh. So, last question. What do you find is most inspiring for you these days or nowadays?
Most inspiring for me. You know, I'm a very competitive person. And so seeing the other companies that are out there do well, it just motivates me to do more. But then every time I bring in another partner, another client, and we call them partners, every time I bring in another partner, that success is a motivator for me to not take a break, not to go celebrate, but to get out and go do it again. And it's a driving force. And I've been trying to share that with my sales team. Like after you get the win, go out and get another one and just keep the momentum, keep building.
There you go. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
Josh, for joining us today and sharing all these with us. Thank you to the audience for watching and sharing. You never know who you might inspire by having them listen or watch this interview. You may be making a difference in somebody else's life. And so, thank you, Josh. Make it a great day. Okay.
Thank you for having
Until
me.
next time.